Hello and welcome to another video. So today we are checking out a Portal deck running the new Puppet Engine cards. This video is going to be pretty mediocre overall, unfortunately, because I didn't find a lot of these cards to be too crazy good, and I would definitely like to see more variations of Puppet Portal, or in general just Portal, that would run this deck a lot better, but we are going to get into it and check it out. So I want to preface this, of course, by saying don't expect too much out of this deck, as I definitely do not new card to try out, so I thought why not give it a go. I definitely would not recommend it for climbing, as some of the ways to win with this deck are very obscure and hard to get from what I've played so far. Of course, my experience could differ to you, of course. So we decided to go all in trade out there, looking for something good and early. There are so many different ways to win this game, at least. You may look at it and go, oh, Maisha's the only one, but considering that you have Silver, which is potential ping win, you've also got Shin Lawful Light, which has really good effects. You've got the Maisha, of course, as itself, the new Orchis card, which has its own variation of wins. It's just, there's so many different ways to deal damage that it's a weird deck to play and get used to. So early game doesn't look great. That's why I actually go for the early Maisha play here. Not worrying too much about losing it. Just because I need that ping effect to start early, so I can get as much damage as possible, especially against Haven, which is still really powerful with its healing. That's why this is a real negative matchup usually. I think I only really win because I get fairly lucky. So we started off fairly well, at least as far as getting draw and thinning our deck out a little, looking for cards that we can use. We don't have a crazy lot going on here. And Keel is pretty devastating. It's definitely not what you want to see. It's what actually makes this kind of deck fairly weak. At least we can use our Zwei here to win the game. Or at least win this turn out overall. And it does generate the puppets that we may need for future, so that's always good. It just seems like this deck relies a lot on Evo, even though we only have a limited supply of them. And that always feels pretty bad. So we do need to take out the 6/5 now. That's pretty easy with the puppets actually, so it's not a big concern. Taking out their kills is definitely important, so being able to take out the second one as effectively as we could was definitely some value as far as plays go. It just means we don't have Maisha as an option for lethal now, since we've used all our Evos. And Gem Princess is not a card I like to see, even if they didn't use their Evo on it, which makes sense. They're probably holding out for, of course, Elena. So I don't expect to see that Evo until that happens, but we can at least start trying to abuse as much as we can here. And we can finally start pushing in some damage, which is good. And with obviously no Elena in hand, they decided to just give up, which is interesting. But that is how the cookie crumbled for them. I mean, that game definitely could have still went either way, so I don't want to claim too much of a victory on it, but we had a fairly consistent run, and we definitely set ourselves up to destroy most big followers. And their Elena was going to be coming down way too late in the game, so they were definitely on the back foot there. But an Elena swing could still have won the game. So they obviously gave up, deciding that they didn't want to waste their time trying to draw out the game as long as possible, and gave us the win there. So Inspired Inventor, one of the cards I actually enjoyed playing early on. It's about our only decent turn 1 play. And then there is our Gear Turner. I'm just looking to get whatever I can now at this point in the early game. Generating a puppet's great because if we can hold it long enough, we can actually use it with Linked. Obviously I decided not to hold it though, since I wanted to get rid of this 2/2 as soon as possible. So Orchis Linked Heart is actually a fairly decent card. I enjoy playing it out and using it. It's just awkward, and that actually was a pretty pathetic concede for our early game, but considering what Forest plays, it's very easy to counter with this deck when you start thinking about it, because there are so many 1-ping damages. So as I mentioned, don't expect too much of this deck. It feels like it's cluttered and awkward in my opinion, and that's not a good thing at all. At least overall, it's not too crazy bad, it's just awkward, and I think with more playability it could be good. In a different meta it could be good, but as things stand right now, it's definitely not one I would recommend. So if you guys at least enjoyed this video in some sense or got some idea on what not to do with this deck, I definitely recommend checking it out. But overall, I wouldn't recommend it if you're just looking to rank up, or you'll have to spend vials on it. Only play this deck if you've already got the cards to play it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, subscribe. Until next time guys, see ya.